Power and money's hitting the roads and airports across the country. CNBC's Hampton Pearson joins us now with the infrastructure plays. Oh, that's a beauty behind you there, Hampton.
Hey, Joe. Perfect morning here along the Potomac River. Behind me, the Key Bridge, bringing commuters from Arlington across the Potomac into Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, one of three major bridges that span the river that get folks here. Now, as far as this whole issue of, if you will, private equity looking at investing in infrastructure, a lot of the deal making is very much in its infancy. So far, some toll roads being bought, some bridges, if you will, some parking lots. Most of the action out in the heartland, beginning with a little over a year ago when Chicago leased its Skyway toll road for about $1.8 billion. Not long afterwards, Indiana followed suit, leasing its turnpike for $3.8 billion for 75 years. Both deals went to Australia's Macquarie Infrastructure Group. Now, they're a worldwide leader in investing in transportation infrastructure and repackaging those assets for its investors.
They have made it a business to invest in toll roads throughout the world and then offer, in essence, what is a mutual fund of toll roads to their investors. Toll roads have a steady stream of revenues, especially if they're mature, so they can offer a certain rate of return.
Now, major U.S. firms are looking for infrastructure deals. Morgan Stanley is investing $563 million in taking over the city of Chicago's municipal parking system. The state of New Jersey has hired UBS to look into what the 148-mile-long New Jersey Turnpike might be worth. At least $30 billion, according to some reports. Now, while the right deals may be good for investors, it doesn't mean an end to tolls and taxes, as more and more communities deal with traffic gridlock and, frankly, not enough money to keep up with all those infrastructure needs.
It is absolutely not going to make those systemic sources of funding go away. We still have to have a very strong multimodal transportation network in order to make these private deals financially feasible.
Now, not all the possible private equity deals are just focused on, if you will, ground transportation. There are reports and that some deals involving possibly the purchase of airports may be in the works. But what they all have in common, government entities, if you will, strapped for cash, not being able to raise enough taxes and tolls to keep up with the demand for infrastructure improvements, and private equity sitting there looking for good deals. Joe?
All right, Hampton, thank you. Appreciate it. That's a beautiful sight, isn't it?
It is. Beautiful sight out there. It's an interesting story, though. Of course, not everybody is thrilled about this new trend. In fact, joining us now is Rod Nodsiger. He's the Director of Government Affairs at the Owner, Operator, and Independent Driver Association, which represents small truckers. And Rob, what's your take on this? Why do you think that this might not necessarily be good business?
We just think it's bad transportation policy. We think it essentially equates to pawnbroker sort of mentality where we're hawking our assets for cash now, but are going to end up paying much more down the road. And it may seem like a good idea to opportunistic politicians that are thinking in the here and now, but it's certainly no yellow brick road for highway users who are going to be paying exorbitant tolls for years to come, or for consumers who are going to see those tolls translate into higher prices at the checkout counter.
Rod, can we necessarily assume that because a road goes private that we're going to be paying higher tolls?
Absolutely. Certainly, Macquarie and Sintra, the Aussies and Spaniards who are leading the charge in investing in U.S. infrastructure, are not a benevolent bunch. They aren't doing this out of the goodness of their hearts for the American people. They're doing this because they see opportunities for long-term cash flows and big-time profits through bilking U.S. highway users via high tolls.
What about the argument that a private company could actually take care of the roads better? You buy into that?
No, I think that certainly public entities have a lot to learn from the private sector, but actually constructing, maintaining, and operating U.S. roadways is inherently a government role that is very appropriate for the government to take over, and certainly the government serves as an entity that is accountable to the public, whereas private entities don't have that level of accountability, at least to the public.
Rod, you're in Washington. What's the talk you hear? Where is Congress leaning on this issue right now? Is there a federal opinion on it?
Well, certainly there is a federal opinion coming both from the White House as well as from Congress. The White House has been a cheerleader of sorts for these sorts of private investment and public-private partnerships. I think there's a whole lot more skepticism on Capitol Hill, particularly with the incoming the chairman of the House Transportation Committee, Congressman Jim Oberstar from Minnesota.
Right.
He sees these as something that should be taken a close, hard look at, and something that may very well cause real problems for the efficiency and effectiveness of our overall national infrastructure system.
So maybe with the Democrats coming in, this is one of those areas where we might see a little bit of gridlock in Congress?
Oh, absolutely. And I should say that Republicans as well are very curious about these sorts of deals.
All right, Rod, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
All right, let's get over to Liz Klayman here for a look at what's coming up on Morning Call. Liz, fresh from the success of your Warren Buffett documentary last night.
Moving on, and of course, we've got the big warehouse retail